This is Jeremy. Welcome to Eighthworld. Hello everybody, this is Jeremy. Welcome to Eighthworld. This is the evening of February 29th, 2020, a leap year. I'll be posting this on March 1st, I believe, so welcome. Hope you're all doing well this week. This week my family's been fighting the flu in our house and hoping all of us don't end up with it, so wish us the best with that. How are all of y'all doing? Let me know in the comments below. This week's topic, I want to talk about Wolverine, Logan, James Howlett, if you're a fan of Paul Jenkins' origin comic, however you know the character. Everyone's favorite, least favorite Marvel character. Comparable, I guess, to Batman with DC. He's the character that everybody really loves and can often save the day, but everybody likes hating on as well for some reason. So why do I bring up this topic this week? Well, it's been a pretty prevalent topic on social media in recent months since Disney acquired Fox about who they would choose to succeed Hugh Jackman in the role and cast as Wolverine in any future MCU XMen films. So the latest rumor with that is a cameo in Captain Marvel 2 where he would be played by Henry Cavill, of all people, which I would be cool with. I actually liked Henry Cavill as Superman, and I think that he's great as Geralt in The Witcher, but I think that his plate is rather full, and that is some wishful thinking on the part of a lot of fans, but that's really just the latest in a long list of fan castings that have been going on since the acquisition by Disney. I think early on people were talking about Tom Hardy in the role, but that probably would conflict with his role as Venom. Recently, Daniel Radcliffe's name has come up for whatever reason. Maybe he's just still trying to break out of being identified solely with the Harry Potter role. Taylor Egerton from The Kingsman and Rocketman has come up recently, and that could be interesting. Scott Eastwood has also come up, Clint Eastwood's son. He could pull it off convincingly. There's been a hopefully joking petition for Danny DeVito to take the part. That could be interesting if that were to pan out. I also came across a well-reasoned idea in a comment somewhere online for Zac Efron, which actually got me thinking. With the actor's height, build, charisma, and his relative agelessness, I could see him pulling that off. So I loved Hugh Jackman in the part, but Logan was definitely an excellent last hurrah for his version of the character. I would not want to undo that in any way. And honestly, it would probably be a good idea to bring in some sort of other acting style, other acting chops into the part. Because I don't know if the pre-existing Fox worldview, if that's actually the best way of putting it, or their aesthetic that they had going with the X-Men movies and particularly with Wolverine, I don't know if that would exactly work with what Disney has done with the MCU so far. Now, why this character? Why now? What is his greater appeal? Why is he so popular? And he is still a fairly popular character among Marvel fans. Ever since his first appearance in The Incredible Hulk issue 180 or 181 more officially in 1974, the character has captivated readers of the comics. They wanted more and more of him, and he grew from that initial brief appearance to become probably one of the, if not the most popular mutant characters that Marvel has to offer. And out of dozens and dozens of Marvel's mutant characters, why is Logan the most popular? Let's just assume that he is the most popular. Why is that the case? Well, you have his attitude, you have his powers, and you have the timeless appeal of the Ronin-type character. He's the masterless samurai. He's the lone wolf badass with the secret heart of gold. Logan's Clint Eastwood's man with no name and a fistful of dollars. He's Toshiro Mifune in Yojimbo. He's Robin Hood. He's every cigar-chomping, whiskey-guzzling, sword-wielding scoundrel we grow to love in our favorite stories. and with his powers. I had a friend in college who said that he despised Wolverine even though he was a big Marvel fan because he just couldn't get behind the idea of somebody who couldn't die, that it took all of the dramatic effect out of his story, that there was nothing for him in the character because of that, which, is a little ridiculous at its face because there are so many comic book characters who have died and come back very quickly or over a period of years, and their initial sacrifice or death or whatever you want to call it didn't really hold a lot of weight past a single storyline. I don't know how many times Professor X in the X-Men has died. In fact, he just died recently in the comics again and came right back. Which the current run on the X-Men being written by Jonathan Hickman is a great story. I would recommend anybody to check it out. Give it a read. It's the best it's been in years, I think. But really, what is really wrong with one or two immortal badasses in your stable of characters, especially when one of them, specifically Deadpool, is primarily used for shock comedy? Wolverine, Logan, however you want to think of him, is a far more serious character, and he's also far more family-oriented, and I'm not saying that he's family-friendly, by God is he not, but what I'm saying is that he is one of those sorts of characters that people who come to these stories, who want to build this found family in their lives, they grow to love him because of that example that he sets. He is the outsider, the damaged one, who has been taken in by these people and made a part of this larger family, and he has been given a place of honor in it. He's one of its elder members at this point in the X-Men story in the comics, and he's had all sorts of little sister characters over the years. He had Kitty Pryde, he had Rogue, he had Jubilee. Anybody who grew up with the early 90s X-Men cartoon like I did remember that relationship with Jubilee, and that helped make that character tolerable in a lot of ways. But just an aside, I've also always enjoyed his father-daughter relationship that he had with Rogue, because Rogue is one of my favorite X-Men of all time, because she's also like the only superhero from Mississippi, so that's important. And it is high time that Logan gets brought into the MCU, that all of these characters do. I have wanted to see Logan especially interact with more non-X-Men characters on screen since I started reading Brian Michael Bendis' run on the New Avengers 15 years ago, and I loved that team. That was a crazy team that should not have worked, but I think that it was probably the best the Avengers ever was in the time that I read it, and I've read a lot of writers on that title already. But I mean, with the old stick-arounds, you had Captain America, you had Iron Man, you had Wolverine, you had Luke Cage, you had Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, you had the Sentry. It was a bizarre team. It should not have worked, but it did. And I would really like to see them do something like that again in the future. You have so many of these characters that you can pick from to make this wild card Avengers film. Why not play around with some of those stories that Bendis created? So to reiterate, Disney does now own the movie rights to the X-Men. That's not news. That's been known for a while. A lot of people awaited that news with bated breath months ago. And with the new turn toward a multiverse in the MCU, from the brief mention in Spider-Man Far From Home to the next Doctor Strange movie and the upcoming WandaVision and Loki series, they are going to have a lot of new material addressing alternate timelines and different universes going forward. And they will have to bring mutants in at some point, because honestly this is the only way that they can pull it off at this point. Otherwise you're going to have to explain where the mutants have been all this time. Where's Apocalypse? Apocalypse should have ended several civilizations throughout history at this point in this universe if mutants were around. Xavier should have been around for decades, as should have Magneto. Something should have been mentioned. And the fact that the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are both Magneto's children has never come up in the MCU, even though it's been an off again, on again, important detail in the comics since the character's creation. So they'll have to either circumvent that, retcon it, somehow bring that in when they do bring in mutants, however they end up doing that. Whether mutants end up living in another completely disconnected reality, which means that all of Fox's films times still happened, or whether something has happened because of Thanos' snap that is starting to merge several realities together. I'm interested to see what they end up doing with it, because I feel like that they are definitely edging toward that with their current storylines they have going. But you have opportunities here also to tell many more stories. Did Captain America ever meet Wolverine in World War II, or did he fight alongside Namor and the Invaders around the same time? Speaking of Marvel, free idea a lot of people would pay to see. Get Chris Evans back for one more movie and make a Cap and Wolverine team-up movie set in World War II, or make a Disney Plus series out of it. That would probably be better. That would be awesome. All of that aside, why did I decide to bring up Wolverine today? Well, I know a lot of people enjoy the character, and I do too. I don't always like the directions that he's been taken in the comics, but there have been perhaps as many interpretations of him as there have been writers who have dealt with him, which is something that you can say about very nearly any character in comics. They have had infinite lives, and hopefully will have infinite lives more. But like I was talking about earlier, with the whole Ronin idea, the samurai aesthetic is very important to Wolverine's character. That was worked in a very long time ago, not long after his inception, actually. And I think that perhaps one of those misguided Westerners who has always had a fascination with that without perhaps fully understanding all of the societal and cultural connotations that come with it. And I have always kind of enjoyed that aspect of Logan's character, that he feels more at home in a culture other than what he was raised in. And he's just a bag of contradictions too with that, because he's Canadian, but he is far from the stereotypical soft, polite Canadian. It's always been his tagline. He's the best there is at what he does, and what he does is not very nice. And also returning to the current run of X-Men under Jonathan Hickman's direction, you should definitely check out the current X-Men title. Wolverine has an interesting role in it. He is not exactly a leader within mutant culture anymore, but he is still a team leader. He is still one of the first people into a fight when needed. And he, Jean Grey, and Cyclops also have a strange sort of group relationship, love triangle thing going that they're all cool with, so all the past animosity between Wolverine and Cyclops is gone, which was kind of character defining for a long time. But seeing it gone is also interesting, because the X-Men books are moving toward a status quo where all conflict between mutants is gone. They are a monolithic culture now, developing their own language, they have their own homeland, and they are taking strides to cement their place on the Earth for all time. I really don't want to spoil anything when it comes to all of that, because it is a great story and you should certainly check it out. So, let me know in the comments below who you think should play Wolverine going forward. There are all kinds of choices on the table that studio can pick from. Even, I think, Jason Momoa joked about being interested in the part. Some people would like to see Keanu Reeves in the part, and honestly, that would be kind of cool. But going forward, somebody who maybe matched the physical description of Wolverine in the comics more directly may help salve some of the wounds that comic book fans claim to feel over some choices in the MCU. I enjoyed the character, I enjoyed Hugh Jackman's portrayal, and I'm eager to see what the future might hold with that character. So, like I said, let me know what you think in the comments below, and please do let me know how you're doing, all of you listening to this, because, believe it or not, we are all in this together, and I do care about what all of you are experiencing. And I hope that you have enjoyed listening to this show so far. Maybe make some suggestions in the future in your comments about what sorts of topics you would like for me to discuss next. And I'll consider them, see what I can say about them, and I might make some listener-suggested topic episodes. I think that that could be fun. And I can always make episodes where I respond to comments directly if you would like that too. But otherwise, I can keep going forward, pulling out topics that I feel like I can talk a bit about and make an episode of. So again, thank you for listening. Eighthworld is and always will be sponsored by and partnered with Misplaced Muse Creative, a wonderful online source for bookish goodies, wax goods, and hot beverages. Any sort of book gear weird gifts you are looking for, you may be surprised that you can find with them. Links to their social media will be in the episode description underneath, so go ahead and go check them out. Follow me on social media, please, and be sure to like and favorite this video. Be sure to subscribe, and you'll be able to better keep up with when new episodes come out on my social media as well, because I will definitely let you know when something's out. But thanks again, and have a good couple of weeks.